You're listening to the Promise of Place podcast, the official podcast of Avenue CDC, where we explore the ideas, stories, and solutions shaping housing affordability and community development in Houston. Today, we're going to be talking with Jenny Burren with Frost Bank, and we're going to be having a unique conversation. A lot of times when we talk about housing affordability, we're talking about getting first-time home buyers into new homes. But today, we're going to be talking about people who already have homes and how current homeowners can use home improvement loans and other products to help preserve affordability, preserve the wealth that they already have in their homes, and help them maintain that those properties. So thanks for watching. Let's go ahead and get started. So welcome in, Jenny.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Jenny Burren. I'm with Frost Bank. I'm a community commercial lender.
Okay.
I've been in home lending for 27 years. I have a passion to help people buy homes, stay in homes, and make sure that they can generate generational wealth through home ownership.
Yeah.
To me, it's really, really important to educate the community and the different products that are there to help people that own homes nowadays.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that people just don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here.
Yeah, I love that. And something about Avenue, our mission is simple. We really want to help strengthen neighborhoods, create opportunities and expand access to safe, affordable housing for every family. And so how we do that is a couple different ways. We have affordable apartment complexes. And so those are basically income based. So whether somebody makes anywhere from 120% of the area median income all the way down to 30% of the area median income, they can qualify for one of our apartment complexes. We also build single family homes, and those allow people to be able to become first-time home buyers or first-time, or not even first-time home buyers, maybe the second home, but really helping people buy homes that they can afford. But the unique thing is, like I said in the intro, is not everyone is a first-time home buyer. Some people inherit property from other family members, or maybe they bought a property 10, 15 years ago. Maybe they already have it in the family. And so some of those folks still might have housing challenges. So that's what we want to talk about today on the podcast. So first of all, I want to talk about why is preserving existing housing really important to you?
To me, it's really important because one, you build generational wealth, right? So if you live in a neighborhood and you have to be able to maintain the character of the home.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our clients come in when they have inherited a home and they have to do all these repairs because maybe mom died, grandma died, dad died, and they need this money. Now, that also helps maintain the neighborhood and the value in the neighborhood. Because if you don't maintain the neighborhood value, then we have a problem, because you may have a house that may be worth something and then you have a house that needs all these repairs.
Right.
And so what we want to make sure is that we educate our community and let them know that there are products out there to be able to use to fix up their homes and not take these high interest rate loans like some of these people take, or some of these clients will take like a 20% rate for a roof. Or an AC, when they can just use a home equity to be able to do all of those repairs and actually transform their financial situation.
Yeah. So, something that I've noticed is, Houston is booming when it comes to new construction. Early 2025, we were leading the nation in new home permits. So builders here have been really aggressive with building new products. And part of that's just because number one, Houston doesn't have zoning laws. So they're able to, build in neighborhoods, buy lots and build quickly. The permitting process in Houston is getting more efficient. I know historically it hasn't been one of the easier permitting cities to go through, even without the zoning laws, but their city has been really making an effort to make that easier for builders. And so it's allowed us to have more product for people to buy. And I think naturally when someone's buying a house, they gravitate towards something new, right? You want to own the fresh new car on the lot, right? You want to have the fresh new house, right? And so I've even just been curious, though. A lot of builders are, giving people rate buy downs or, covering their closing costs, a lot of incentives to entice them to purchase. So I think a lot of people have turned from maybe resale or older homes, but I think there's still a lot of value in older homes because sometimes they have more character.
Yes.
There's things that you can add to them to really make them a home, right? And so when you buy new construction, unless you're doing some kind of custom build or something, you're getting it as is. Right?
Absolutely.
Or you're paying for upgrades, those kind of things. But sometimes with older homes, they come with things that you just can't even add to them, right?
Absolutely. So I think you're right. We have a lot of new inventory, but the older homes have so much character. And so when someone talks about, I'm going to buy a new house versus repairing or remodeling the house that I'm currently in, you have to sometimes take a step back and take a look at the cost efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth me making these repairs on this house? What's my value when I do make these? But also, what's the cost?
Yeah.
So Frost has a product, right? It's called Progress Home Equity.
Mm-hmm.
So that product allows you to borrow very inexpensive if that is your primary residence.
Mm-hmm.
If your income is under $81,600, you could borrow from 10 years. The terms are 10, 15, and 20 years at 4.49,
Mm-hmm.
no fees.
Wow.
And if you want to, you can extend that to 25 and 30 years at 4.79 rate, no fees. So what happens a lot of times, I have a lot of clients that live in the areas where Avenue is
Mhm.
located, and we'll go in there and we'll let them borrow $50,000, and an estimated payment could be like $300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're able to afford all those repairs to be able to give value back
Right.
to that neighborhood.
Yeah, and
'Cause
that makes their house more competitive, right? It makes
Absolutely.
your house more desired. Because I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial here, right? So I don't even necessarily know if when we talk about housing affordability, right? A lot of times people talk about we don't have enough affordable houses.
Mhm.
I think we don't have enough affordable houses in desirable areas that people want to live in, right?
I kind of agree with you. Absolutely.
But we have a ton of affordable houses. I mean, if you do a search on the MLS for houses under $200,000, you're going to see thousands of houses in Houston that are under $200,000, where your payment could be $1,200 a month or $1,400 a month, right, in terms of your mortgage.
Correct.
So, but sometimes those aren't always in the they're not in the Katy Bridgelands, they're not in the Pearlands, they're not in the Loop, or something. A lot of times they are even in the Loop, but maybe they're not in the Heights,
Right.
maybe they're not in downtown Montrose, right? And so
Right.
we have in our brains the lifestyle that we want to that accompanies buying a home, which is something that actually helps Avenue stand out, is because we actually understand that when it comes to going into a community and helping develop it, we want to develop the whole area, because we understand that it's more than just the unit that you live in, the home that you live in. It's about what happens around you. It's about
The neighborhood.
how safe do you feel walking, about what neighborhood amenities do you have. It's about how do you feel embraced by the community that you live in. So those are really important things. So I don't want to discount those, but I also wonder, okay, if people truly want to be homeowners, is there a narrative or is there a belief system that we have to change to help them understand that, yes, getting a home may mean that you don't live in the Houston Heights, right? Maybe it means you live in near Northside, or maybe it means you live in Magnolia Park, which are incredible neighborhoods,
Mhm.
but just maybe are a little bit underrated and not always the top of the talking point.
So I want to say this, and I think it's really important that people have to understand that you have to buy what you can afford.
Yeah.
Being a homeowner is better than being a renter, because now you're building generational wealth.
Yeah.
So it's really important to when you're first meeting that client that wants to buy, that you have a really honest conversation about what is affordable.
Mhm.
Because what we don't want is to put a client in a home and then they're foreclosing 2-3 years down the line.
Mhm.
So those conversations are really important to have. And again, there's products that Frost offers that we can help clients if
Mhm.
they buy a home and they want to do a home improvement loan.
Yeah.
You can finance up to 75% of that home improvement, up
Mhm.
to 90% total loan to value.
Wow.
So there's these amazing products that we have for people that want to buy maybe a more affordable home and then repair that home and make that home be yours. That means you change the flooring, you change the color of your walls, you remodel the bathrooms, find a great contractor to be able to do those things. But that's affordability.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you
Yeah.
go and buy a $300,000 house, your mortgage may be $3,000 versus a $200,000 house. Your mortgage may be $1,500-$1,600 a month. That is affordability, and now you're building something for your children.
Yeah, and we call that in the real estate world forced appreciation, right? Where you go in and you force value into a house, and that takes a little bit of creativity. It takes a little bit of sacrifice, because again, if we're buying a $200,000 house, most likely, like you said, it's going to need a new bathroom. It's going to need a new kitchen. Maybe it's going to need new flooring. And so a lot of times we want to move in ready, right? In our society, we want it now and we want it ready to go, right? And so sometimes that delayed gratification may even help you make more money down the road, right? If you can take a $200,000 house and turn it into a $300,000 house, that's your appreciation right there, right?
Absolutely.
And that could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 that you could add into a house, making it more desirable. Whereas if you buy top of the market, new construction, those are still 100% great things to buy, but then you have to wait time to get that appreciation.
time.
Yeah.
I'll give you a personal example. I remodeled my house completely. I did all the floors. I gutted the kitchen. I gutted all my bathrooms because I knew that I couldn't find the same house for what I bought it for.
Mhm.
So the same house now, I have to spend a lot more money to
Yeah.
maybe triple what I owe
Yeah.
or what I originally bought my house for. So I did that, and I probably have $100,000 worth of equity because I did that.
Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. So, do you have any stories or examples? I know you probably can't say client, information or names, but do you have any stories of somebody who's able to do this successfully? And talk about like what the what the terms were, what the scenario was, just to help somebody visualize what this could look like for them.
Absolutely. So I work with a lot of elderly customers.
Okay.
And so what's happening in the communities is that these customers will again get like different types of loans.
Mhm.
They'll get like a roof loan. They'll get a loan for the AC.
And those are directly through maybe those providers?
Yes.
Okay, so
And-
the HVAC company comes in and says, hey,
You
you
need
can't
an AC.
afford this $10,000 AC unit. We'll finance it for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So I have a client, several clients, but the one that really kind of sticks out to me is that she came in, she said her income, let's just say it was $2,000 a month. She's retired. She's about 66 years old. And I looked at her debt. She was paying everything out. So she had very little money to be able to buy food. And that to me was alarming because to me, it's important for my elderly clients to be able to be comfortable through those retirement years. So we sat down, we talked about their debt. So she came in, she brought out her credit card statement, she brought all of the loans that she took out. And let me tell you what we did, Michael. We transformed her finances. We were able to give her, like, I think it was a $60,000 loan. We paid off all of those creditors. I gave her about $11,000 for rainy days. And her payment was like $200 to $300 a month. And I was able to put $1,000 back in her pocket.
When you say 11,000 for rainy days, was that like $1,000 cash, or was that like
Yes.
built into her loan?
It was built into her loan, but
Okay.
after we paid off all those creditors, she was able to keep $11,000 cash
Okay.
for those rainy days. Because the one thing that we talked about is what happens a lot is that you'll deal with clients that do these repairs and then they run into another issue and they have no money. So my idea is, hey, if you run into another issue again, it's really important for you to have money so you can take care of it.
And in that scenario, that's
still
still her money because that was from her house's equity, right?
Correct.
So it wasn't necessarily, we love Frost, but y'all weren't necessarily being generous and giving her $11,000.
Right,
You were like
right.
allowing her to tap into
Her
equity
home
that
equity,
already
yes.
existed in her home. Okay, got you.
And so
Yeah.
it was, she called me last week
Mhm.
and just the difference in the way she talks and moves, she feels less stress
Mhm.
because we were able to give her that $1,000 a month.
Okay, and is
Now-
this a HELOC, or like tell me describe what kind of loan product this is?
So we have the home equity,
Okay.
we have the home improvement. And so the home equity falls into two spaces, the lower interest rate. So you can finance it from 10, 15, and 20 years at 4.49. And then the interest rate goes up to 4.79, 25 to 30 years. No closing costs. This is income based. Now, if you make more than, $81,600, we have a regular home equity product. That rate can be between 7 and 8, depending what the market is doing. Don't know what the rate is this moment. So that's why I'm giving you
Yeah.
a large range.
Okay.
And you can finance 10 to 15 years. on
Okay.
that.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
And in terms of some of the other things out there, I know there's, some people talk about, cash out refinances and things like that. What are your thoughts on those other products? It doesn't sound like that's what you guys are. So like, what's the pros and cons versus someone doing some of those other options out there?
So the home equity has to be your homestead.
Okay.
So if you get a home equity and your income is greater than $81,600, there are closing costs,
Okay.
but nothing compared to a cash out refinance.
Okay.
So the difference between a home equity and a cash out refinance is that if you have a mortgage with a low interest rate, with a home equity, we leave that mortgage alone. Versus a cash out refinance, we have to refinance the whole thing
Okay.
at a higher interest rate. So a lot of times it's more convenient to get a home equity because if you were lucky enough to get that 2.99 or that 3.25, we don't want to touch that. We want to let that be
Okay.
and just get you a second loan.
Okay.
So a lot of times you have to do a cash out refinance when you have an investment property. and you need cash to pull out of there.
Mhm.
So you need a cash out refinance to do
Okay.
that.
So and is that something that you do as well for someone who maybe inherits a property, but they don't live there, right? It would be in the family. So it's not technically, I guess that would be to some degree, almost an investment property, right?
Correct.
So what kind of options would you have for someone like that? Because I think that happens a lot here. I think it probably happens nationally. But I know it's Houston specifically. We have a big airship problem, right? Where
We do.
property doesn't get passed down the right way, and people are coming into a house that they don't either want, they don't know what to do. It has a bunch of taxes that need to be paid on it. And so in those scenarios, how could you help somebody be able to leverage a family asset to be able to continue to either keep it in the family, or help them be able to leverage the wealth that's in that to continue to help future generations build on top of that?
So we're not doing any cash out refinance loans at Frost.
Okay.
But a lot of times what you want to do is you want to shop around for that, because every lender has different cost. And so me personally, what I tell my clients is when they come to me, you got to shop 3 lenders. Make sure that you don't go just for the first one. Shop 3 lenders, look at their fees, look at their interest rates, and look at the term and see which one fits you best.
Yeah.
When you're buying a house, when you're doing a home equity, when you're doing anything, get 3 quotes. Make sure that you're just not going for the first thing. And sometimes when you're dealing with like cash out refinance, the interest rate may not always be it, because a lot of brokers, a lot of lenders charge discount points to get you a cheaper interest rate. So you really got to pay attention to those fees, because somebody can say, I can give you a 5%, and they could be charging you $10,000 to get you that 5%.
Right.
So the educational part of it is really important.
Okay.
So if I have a client that I can't help, I'm like, go shop and let me see, let me help.
Yeah. So one thing I don't want to skip over, in terms of equity, let's describe what that is. And I don't know if you have any common misconceptions that you see people out there with. One that comes to mind for me is that I think sometimes people equate the market value equity different than the actual value equity, right? So you can say, okay, I have $100,000 in equity because, I think if I sell it at this, right, based on the market, well, that's just based on if someone's willing to buy your house at that price, right? Versus the equity you have based on having a lower the balance compared to however much your loan is. So can you talk about what equity truly is and how somebody can really understand that and what some of those misconceptions are?
So a lot of times what I see is that people think that their appraisal, the Harris County appraisal, gives them the value of their home. And so what I educate clients and tell them, no, this is not the value of your home. This is what you're paying taxes on. So a lot of times when you see the appraisal district, you want that number to be lower, so you pay lower taxes. The value truly comes when you are getting an appraisal, right? We got to look at the comps in the last 3 to 6 months to see what everything's selling for and kind of go from there.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of time explaining that. And so some people get it, some people don't, because they're like, I don't want to mess with the appraisal district because in the value of my house, I'm going to lose the value of my home. That's not it. It's truly the appraisal and what the homes are selling for in the area in the last 6 months.
So when someone's using one of your products, y'all are basing the equity amount that they can get based on an appraisal, and the appraisal goes out, looks at the comps, and then determines how much the house is worth.
So the first thing we do when we're looking at value, we'll look at the appraisal district and kind of give us a vision of what that could be. Then we run something called an AVM. An AVM will be like almost like a appraisal, like the comps in the last 6 months or 3 months, and that's how we come with the value. If that value is too low, then we can do like a desk appraisal, or we could do a full appraisal to get the true value of a property.
Gotcha. Okay. And in terms of the contractor piece of it, right? Is there any resources or knowledge that you have for us today to help people understand like how to get, because that's the other pitfall that people have, right? Once you get access to your equity and then, going to the world of the contractors of who's going to do the work to help you fix up your house, right? So what are your tips on how someone can get someone to help them fix their stuff and not get taken advantage of?
So typically what I have a client when they want to do a home equity and not a home improvement, because when you do a home improvement, we have to get a contractor involved. And we got to get a bid from that. And we'll do like inspections to make sure the job is done correctly. And then we do draws. When you're doing a home equity, we give you the entire money. When I have a client that's just doing a home equity, what I'll tell my client is, 1, get some bids. That way we make sure that you're getting enough money and give yourself a cushion. 2, get 3 bids from different contractors. 3, get some referrals and look at their Google reviews. Because what you don't want to do is hire a contractor, they take your money, and then you have no way of getting that money back.
Right.
So it's really, really difficult. I think referrals is important. If you have family members that can give you referrals, and go from there.
Yep. And is those quotes are probably helpful for helping someone determine like what's responsible for them to borrow, right? Because you may have 150K in equity, but maybe you only need 50 of that, right? So you don't need to go get the whole 150.
Absolutely.
So do you kind of coach people? How do you help someone determine how much equity they should actually tap into?
So a lot of times what I do is it depends. So some clients come to me because they want to do debt consolidation. Some clients want to come to me because they want to do home improvements. So if we're doing debt consolidation, we'll get those credit card statements and then we'll look at that. If they're doing, again, home improvement or, they're trying to do repairs on their homes, let's look at some contractors. And then please tell me what kind of bids you've gotten, because I've talked to several clients. They're like, oh, I just need 50,000. And I'm like, well, how do you know you need 50,000? And they're like, well, I kind of looked at materials like 4 years ago, and I'm like, wait, materials are more expensive now. Why don't you go back and take a look at what cost is, and then we can talk about how much loan you need.
Right.
Do we need to increase or decrease your loan amount before we close? That way you can do all the repairs that you need in your home, or let's look at payments. So we're looking at not just what you need for repairs, we're looking at your monthly payments as well. Because again, I want you to be able to keep up with those payments. It's just not about, let me give you all this cash and let's close this deal. No, let me make sure that I'm doing the right thing for the client, that we're giving them the education they need, and that they're getting this so they won't have to do this over and over and over and over.
Right.
Because then you have clients that want to do this over and over, which is fine because they have the equity, but the idea is to put them in a better financial situation.
Yeah. Okay. Something that I'm really proud of at Avenue is our ability to respond to the needs of the community. We are really nimble and really we listen to the community. We actually have a whole department that is called our community initiatives team, and their whole goal is to be out in the community and just listening to the community.
I love that.
And so then we create programs and campaigns based off what they're hearing. Right. So right now we have advocacy program, we have job training, we have all kind of different programs that were just based on going in the community and saying, hey, what does the community need, right?
I love that.
And so that's why I think partnerships between like Frost and Avenue are so impactful, because we can go into the community and find out what they need and then go to our partners and say, hey, this is what they need. Can you guys develop products to help, right? And so can you talk about kind of why our partnership between Frost and Avenue is so important?
I think it's important because the education part of it is you have so many clients that need that help, that they may have a bad, starting to get a bad foundation, or their AC is not working, and you have a lot of elderly clients that can't afford to buy new AC. So they're in this hot heat. And so if they know about the products that we offer, we could really change their lives.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really important, because if we didn't sit down and talk about this, how would you even know that we have this product, right? And so knowledge is key. The more we spread it, the more we spread the message of what we have to offer for clients, the more we can help people and change our communities.
Yeah, that's so good. Really excited that you guys are sponsoring HomeFest.
I'm excited too.
HomeFest is an incredible event. It is a home ownership fair where Avenue brings literally every single resource you can think of and manage or imagine. If you're thinking about becoming a homeowner, if you're a current homeowner, if you just want to come to a community event and just be around good people, this event is really going to bring them all to you, right? And I think people have maybe been to home ownership workshops or seen them. And not to bash any of those, but ours is an event that's truly a fun community event. Like you truly want to come and just enjoy the people that are there. So talk about that. So you guys are our first title sponsor. We've never had that before, right? So I think it speaks well to like how important you guys, how much importance y'all place on home ownership, on housing stability, on financial literacy, because y'all are willing to put your stamp on this event. So talk about that.
Well, first of all, we're super excited to team up with you guys. I think Avenue CDC does so much for the community, and us partnering up with you guys is pretty big for us because we want to be able to help the community as much as you guys are. And we have products that can help our community grow, become homeowners, take equity out of their homes. And we have products specifically for low to moderate income homeowners.
Yeah.
So Frost is really doing a great job coming out with a product like the Progress Home Equity Loan that will be able to help those low to moderate income communities. Really excited that you guys are sharing the message about this because we might be able to help a lot of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. It totally answered the question. And I think this is one opportunity for people to answer questions or just find out about something that you didn't know existed, right? And so I think events like Home Fest are really important because you get to go and just meet people and just hear what's out there, right? And it may not be something you need to do right now. Maybe a home equity loan or a home improvement loan isn't for you right now, but at least you know what options are out there whenever you do need it, right? Or if you run into someone who may need it, you have a referral, you have somebody you can call. And so I think it's just great. There will be other financial institutions there, so you get to kind of compare a little bit, like you said earlier. And everyone's different. Everyone specializes in a different thing, right? So you get to find who is right for you.
I actually went to the Home Fest last year.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed. First of all, like the vendors you guys had, you had food, they had like paintings for like face painting, DJs. It was a pretty incredible event. I just came because of, I just wanted to come see. But this time we actually get to be part of that. Super, super excited. I know that we can help a lot of the communities, and there are other lenders that do great products too. And it's all about education, right? What we do, what they do, what we all do to be able to give back to the community.
Yeah, that's so good. So what are some of the biggest myths that people have about tapping into their home equity? So getting a home improvement loan or home equity loan, what are some of the biggest myths out there about it?
They want the money tomorrow.
Okay.
And then the next thing is that they believe that because they have their home, that it's paid off, that there's no guidelines, that we're just going to write them a check. So they still have to be able to afford making those payments back. So we look at, affordability to them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Affordability for them. So it's really important that they understand that it's a 30 to 45 day process. And we're going to look at, like debt to income ratio. And, we're not score driven, but we look at credit, like payment history and things.
What would you say to someone who's nervous about getting another loan, right? So you already have a mortgage, right? And then you're adding a loan on top of that. So you're adding another payment. It's technically two payments. How do you talk about that with people? How do you help them understand that process? And explain, I guess, how is that still a positive for them in that scenario?
So a lot of times when a client is looking for a second home or second mortgage, they're looking for maybe paying off debt. Maybe using the money for a business, maybe using the money for home improvement. It could be used for whatever. So a lot of times I just ask, what do you need the money for? Like, let's talk about how this is going to benefit. Some people want to pay off debt. And so we look at that monthly payment to replace their credit cards.
Yeah.
And we can save them money that way.
Gotcha. Because your interest rate on a loan with you guys would be in the 4 to 8% range versus a credit card being 20
and up.
20%. Yeah.
Yeah. So we look at that. And a lot of times what I look at is, what is the client doing? Are they just making minimum monthly payments for these credit cards? Because that means they can have these credit cards for 20 years. So if you're just making minimum monthly payments, then we talk about how is a home equity benefit, and let's talk about the different terms so that you can hurry up and pay this off and just breathe a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay. So how can our listeners connect with you or Representative Frost Bank to get more information about either a home improvement loan, home equity loan, or any other things you guys have?
You guys can call me directly at 281-785-7904. You can go to frost.com and find us there too. There are 3 of us here in Houston that work in the community space. Myself, Jenny Burren, Christian Perez, and Manuel Evangelista. We work here to help our community. So you guys can just call me, and then we can assist.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, this has been so great having you on. Thank you so much for the knowledge that you dropped. Thank you for your service to the community. Thanking Frost Bank again for sponsoring Home Fest. That event will be April 11th from 10 to 1. And again, that will be a home ownership workshop fair where you can come and meet different resources, vendors who can help you in your journey, whether you currently own a home or looking to own a home. We'll also have opportunities for education at the event where you can get speakers that are come out, food, entertainment. So overall, just an incredible event. And so we'd be honored to have you there. So they'll have information in the description for how you can join that event. And we'll also have Jenny and her team's info if you'd like to reach out to them about their home improvement loans. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next on the Promise of Place podcast.